Welcome to the BXG Podcast, the podcast where pop culture and nerd culture meet at the nexus of the universe and are melded as seamlessly as Kevin Bacon and cooking bacon. I don't know that we cooked any bacon. Yeah, you know how it is. We're in the holiday lull here. 2 weeks in a row. We're a little bit behind, and we'll get back on schedule this week though. But anyway, I'm one of your hosts, the Alpha Donut guy, Brent Beswick, alongside my co-host, Gregory T. Filson, and T is for trip to Japan. Greg, how was your holiday weekend and such?
Good, busy, and then Michigan beat Ohio, so it was great.
The whole state of Ohio?
That you might as well. I saw a thing on like one of the real estate guide things I follow on Instagram. And it was like the cheapest homes in America. Number one was Youngstown, Ohio. And the first comment was, it's cheap because it's in Ohio. And like, that kind of all you need to know about that place.
There's more to it than that. I mean, we both know, we've been.
Yeah, right. But if you don't know, then just seeing that Ohio, but that was funny. It was like by a good 100,000. So that was pretty funny, but no, it was great. I mean, I'm still kind of coming over it. I started the Substack today.
Oh,
I did. I sent it out. It's in my Instagram stories. Yeah, it's just out there, and it was about that. It was about winning and how weird it feels if you're not used to it. Yeah, so it's out there. It's not probably going to be the normal of what we'll do because it'll be more about the pod, but I feel like we need to get that out there. And it's not something we would go on. Of course, on the pod.
I see. I didn't realize that was what that is.
So. But if you want to get my thoughts on that and just, the feeling of rooting for a team that's good, but not ever been great really in my lifetime, other than the national championship year where I was 12 and, it's different, but, yeah, so that was great.
I'll put that on our accounts too.
Going back to school tomorrow is going to be weird. But it is what it is.
How are you, I'd rather.
How was your holiday?
It was fine. Nothing really too crazy. Like I said before, you and I were talking before we hit record. I've put all extra free time into God of War Ragnarok, and the more I play it, the more I like it. And but you can kind of hear this coming Wednesday on a Gamescast episode that Charles and I did. You can kind of hear about where I stand on things with God of War, but I have to admit that some of the comments that I made in that episode are maybe a little bit premature through, having a long play session this weekend here, or this long weekend, and some of my thoughts have changed a little bit, but I don't think my overall thought has, but anyway, that's kind of all I've been up to. But I want to have a little chat.
Okay.
About self-awareness. And the fact that people don't have any.
Okay. Yeah, sure. That's
we did a little bit of weekend shopping here, looking for scouting out deals and such. And went to a few different places Friday, Saturday, and then just sort of the standard, going out and getting groceries or whatever today. But I don't know if it's like a Black Friday weekend thing. I don't actually think it necessarily is, because I encounter this all the time where people just won't fucking move in the stores.
Yeah. It's a big thing.
I think that people in general just lack the self-awareness of, someone's trying to see something that I'm standing in front of, or trying to get around me because I'm just standing here. And you have that, and obviously people don't know how to drive, so that's always exciting as well. But this is the real one that bothered me, and it occurred today. We're going to the grocery store, right? And we're going in to the grocery store.
Probably the place where people are most unaware of
Well,
their
this wasn't
surroundings.
even, it wasn't even that. It was just that someone was standing also at the door of the grocery store as we were going in. And Melissa and I both recognized this person. And I did one of these because I don't,
Sure.
for the audio listeners here. So we don't want to talk to this person, obviously. I'm averting my eyes, looking down and to the left. Melissa, my wife, is kind of like doing the full body turn thing. If I'm that person and I'm observing this, I feel like that's a clear indicator that these people don't want to talk to me. And so
Right.
what's a normal person do when they recognize this person doesn't want to talk to me? They mind their own business.
Yeah. Ignore the situation.
Nope, not what happened. And I'm here to tell you that was a very upsetting situation because I don't like going places and being forced to talk to people that I don't want to talk to. So if you're listening to this, use your self-awareness, use some observational skills. I'd like to tend to think that I'm pretty observational. You know what I mean? I'm pretty self-aware. And it's frustrating. Now, let me ask you this question. Do you think you could still send a telegram?
Probably. If somebody else has it set up and you have the setup, I'm going to guess you probably can. I just doubt that anybody really has the setup.
I just wonder. NTT and KDDI still offer telegram services, and they're mainly used for special occasions such as weddings, funerals, graduations, etc. Local offices offer telegrams printed on special decorated paper and envelope.
That's cool.
So there's a website, telegram.us.
I like that.
So maybe I'll send you a telegram. What do you
Sure. A telegram. Would not expect a telegram, but I like the idea of it.
Yeah. So anyway. TV shows. We got some TV shows to discuss.
We do.
Season finale, season 1 finale of Andor. Episode, what was it? Episode 7? Chainsaw Man? 6, 7, somewhere in there.
I think it was 6. Yeah.
Was it 6? Let me see. Because I published the videos a little later than usual because we were a little bit later than usual, and then it was like a whole thing. No, this is the episode 7.
That was episode. Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, episode 7.
Good.
And the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special.
Yes.
Which was released this past Friday over on Disney Plus. But I suppose we should begin with Andor.
Let's do it.
And the scene was set. He's returning to Firax for his mother's funeral march, and kind of everybody else is also making their way down to Firax. It seems to be this is sort of like, the powder keg situation. We have the Imperial supervisor, Deidre Miro, and her crew. Cyril Karn is on his way. Luthen is on his way to, he's going to kill Cassian because he knows too much, whatever. And some other characters kind of interspersed as well. And the main thing is that the kind of two big plot points here is that there's a hologram reading pre-prepared by his mother, who is, the person in question, Marva Andor, who's passed away. And she basically calls on all the people to fight the Empire. And so that kind of erupts into a big riot. The kid whose dad was tortured to basically to the point of insanity, I think they were going to hang him in the one episode, makes like a pretty decent looking pipe bomb that he creates some havoc with. And all the while this is taking place, Cassian is, fixed on saving Bix and getting her out on the ship, and then kind of going back to find Luthen. And so, it turns into like a big riot, and you can kind of, make the case that this is like the spark of the rebellion and that sort of thing. But overall, somewhat action-packed episode, leaves us sort of with a clear trajectory into the second season. There's some other, different character developments that we can talk about. But before we talk about the season as a whole, what did you think about just this final episode?
I thought the final episode was good, not great. It it probably wasn't as action packed as I was hoping, considering what we were leading into. It also felt like a season finale where they really weren't sure if they were going to get a second season. And so they're just like, okay, so he's off doing his thing. And maybe the next thing is we are going to, Rogue One kind of thing. Or, there's still going to be a storyline happening. We don't really know, but we know what he's getting into. Or we are going to have a season 2 and he'll be up to more antics. And, antics not probably the right word, but it's just he'll be up to more stuff to get us through the rebellion. Because we do, when we have the hologram and everyone freaks out about that, it is like that sort of uproar to this. I did think there was just a lot of little parts that mattered, but just didn't really push the story along as much as I would have liked. Like up until we got the hologram, there wasn't a lot of anything that was truly, truly happening. And then we get the hologram and that starts getting the ball rolling. So I think that was maybe I think that was one of those things where like we need to still make this an episode of like 35 minutes, but we'd also only have about 28 minutes worth of real content.
I think it ended up being closer to 45 with
I guess it was probably about 45. And still it felt like, I would say there's felt like about 7 minutes of stuff where wouldn't say like nothing happens. It was just 7 minutes where it wasn't really needed. It didn't push the story along. So that was fine. I just think my issue with this was it wasn't as big as I necessarily wanted it to be. So I thought it was a little bit of a letdown as a season finale. But then again, it's also leading into a season 2. I think I'd be more let down if this was it than anything. So I'm just minorly let down, but at least I know that the show itself as a whole, like we'll get into that, what we can expect. But based purely on this episode, it was a little bit of a letdown for me. Still good, but just not what I was actually hoping, which maybe is just more on me than the show itself.
I tend to disagree with you to an extent. The extent being that it was a letdown. I do kind of I agree with you that it wasn't necessarily as action filled as maybe you would have liked for a season finale. But I thought that the speech given by his mother in the hologram was so powerful. And it was just grade A writing, I think. And it goes back to sort of the struggle that I have with not the hate, but like not hate online for this show, but the just general indifference towards it. I feel like
Okay.
And I struggle with that because people, we've talked about the ratings, whatever, they're not super great, or like viewership, whatever you want to call it with streaming. I don't know how you really even refer to that, but how people have not really been watching this. And it's just such a shame because there are moments, and I would point to two specifically: the speech that his mother gives in her, funeral march with the hologram, whatever. And then the speech that Luthen gives towards the end of one of the more recent episodes. I don't remember exactly, where he's talking about, finding the heroes whose names won't be remembered. I just think that the writing for this is outstanding. And
Yes.
I think that, those particular monologues are the best thing that we've seen since the original trilogy. And I know that people get upset. Like, the thing that isn't a draw is like, well, there's no lightsabers, there's no Jedi, there's no Sith. You don't get, where is blah, blah, blah. I just think that that's really short sighted. And that, like, I feel like the people who don't like this, that are Star Wars fans, are probably the same people who are just head over heels for Rey, which that can't make sense to me. That doesn't make sense to me, because I think that she's just a boring character. She's not at all, she has no weaknesses. She's not flawed. She's just not interesting. But those people are like, oh, she's a badass woman with a lightsaber. It's like, no, I mean, sure, whatever, but it's not compelling. And whereas this has been from tip to tail just very compelling. I thought this was a nice cap. I thought it was a good cap to show that people are starting to push back against the Empire. And I thought that this show did a good job, and we can get into it when we talk about the season, but I think that it was very well displayed in this episode, just how diabolical their methods can be, because Bix is done. Like, she's done.
Yeah.
Her brain is just completely scrambled eggs at this point. And you wonder if there's any coming back for that. And I thought it was funny. I saw something that said like, oh, Bix should get her own series. It's like, no, we don't need a series for everybody, number one. And number two is, how are you going to have, like, what's that series going to be? She just is on screen going dribbling oatmeal down her shirt for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So I thought that was well conveyed, though. The trauma, the effects of that torture method on her showed that she's just not there anymore. And I thought the end cap, where he says, either kill me or take me in. And it's like, that's okay. This is where the real road to Rogue One kind of starts. But I think there's still plenty of stories to be told, because by the time we get to Rogue One, this dude is like grizzly. He's like a grizzled veteran of the rebellion, and he's the gray area. He shows the gray area. And that's why I think that he and this cast of characters in general is so interesting. They alluded to the Krieger character being basically massacred out in space, and Luthen set that guy up. He said, well, we can either sacrifice these guys or keep our inside man, which is more important. And that's not the type of stuff really that George Lucas was going to have a conversation about in any of these movies. Whereas his stuff is very good versus evil, very cut and dry. This has done a great job of showing the gray area. It is a more mature, I think, presentation of Star Wars. What did you think about the end credit scene, when we find out what he was actually building in the prison colony?
I mean, that was pretty cool. It was one of those things too, where I like, normally the end credit scene lets you just kind of pop up, and when it happened, I was like, oh, this must be something. Yeah. And so no, I thought that was cool. It was just one of those things where it like gave me that, when I was like saying overall, I was like, so I would say I was just disappointed. I was like, I was expecting like a 10 out of 10 episode, and I think I got like a 9. It's sort of that thing. That kind of gave me this like, oh, the show is still awesome. Like, and
Yeah.
we now know what's up, and it definitely leaves you wanting more and excited about that second season.
Yeah. I would say the end credit scene where I wanted to know the whole time what they were building. And I kept
Right.
saying to myself, like, why does it just show what they're building? Why, like, are they building like, why are they just building like TIE fighter wings or something? And then you actually see what it is. It's like, oh, okay, that makes it kind of cooler, that whole
Yeah.
situation. But um, so that's kind of a nice way to round out that final episode. The season as a whole, highs, lows, favorite
I,
characters, least favorite characters. Where do we
I
go from
think
here?
for the heist episode is definitely still my favorite of all the episodes. Just right into my wheelhouse. I mean, I like the jailbreak too. Those were probably my first two, but the heist was definitely my favorite. I mean, it, my least favorite episode. I don't really know if there's like a least. It was just every other episode after like the heist and the jailbreak were all just equally. I feel like good. I mean, not
Mhm.
like up to that level, but it was. I'm trying to just yeah, there's nothing to me. There wasn't like a necessarily a bad episode. I'm trying to even think back if we even said anything was ever going to be bad. I think I just taken the easy way out, but like Andor was probably my favorite character just because I liked that we actually got more of a storyline behind him. And yes, there's other interesting characters, but it was cool that I like where a show is about him, but it wasn't necessarily all about him either. And
Mhm.
so when he was on the screen, it felt special, and it I think I like that part of it too. Least favorite, whew, um, least favorite character. Hmm.
I
I
don't.
don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if I really have a least favorite character. This is some of those things where like I sent you the story and you talked about where like no one like relatively no one's watching the show, and it bums me out because it is so good. And like if you're talking about any of the other Star Wars material we've got in the last 20 years, 23 years, I guess, it'd be easy to pick like all these things because
Right.
there's
Yeah.
like your favorite, your least favorite, a part that sucked, a part that was great. Like that's all easy. But I think this was so steady and
Yeah.
so well done that it's for me, it's really hard. I feel like I was never that disappointed with anything happening, and I was always like, this is good. Like it's just so nice to walk away because we were both like excited about this, but I think expectations wise, it exceeded mine by a lot, actually.
It definitely exceeded my expectations. I had a hunch that this was going to be good, but I didn't realize just how good I was going to find it. I think that so least favorite character, I don't really uh,
Yeah,
there's not really one to really point at. Maybe like some of the imperial, like the other imperial supervisor, the black guy who's just like oddly a prick. Like I
right.
don't
Yeah,
really understand why he was the way he was, but it didn't really detract from the story. I don't think that like that's the thing, that I don't think that there was any characters that detracted from the story. There wasn't any characters
no,
where it was like, okay, we can kind of poke fun at this character. And I think that there have been characters like that through every other Star Wars TV series to date, including The Mandalorian. There's some different characters that you could kind of poke at where it's like, oh God, the Horatio Sands character in both season 1 and season 2 was like, okay, this guy, he's like so over the top. And there's others, and poor episodes and all those sorts of things. But I don't think that there's a weak link in this series
no,
as far as a character or really an episode. I think maybe the episode, there was I want to say there was two build up episodes before the heist actually took place. And I feel like maybe they could have truncated that down to one, but it wasn't like either of those episodes were bad. It was just
right.
that it was almost an excessive amount of buildup. Uh Favorite episodes, I think the Prison Break episode was my favorite because it gave us two really powerful moments. And it also goes hand in hand with my two favorite characters of the series. Number one, Luthen, and number two, Kino Loy, played by Andy Serkis. That episode gave you the speech that I alluded to earlier with Luthen, where he said, I'm looking for the heroes who won't be remembered. I just think that that's really powerful in the scope of whether it be Star Wars or any story, any conflict like this, where you're struggling against like a greater evil or whatever. Kino Loy in that episode led the Prison Break, led everyone to their independence, knowing the whole time that he wasn't going to get his because he can't swim. And that was another one of those moments where I felt like, I love Andy Serkis. So like to see that character go from kind of being the manager of the floor, kind of a hard ass, maybe a little bit of a douchebag, to, okay, I understand what's happening here, and we have to stand up to these guys. It was just really cool. And I think that those are moments that we didn't get moments like that in Boba Fett. Certainly we don't have as many of those moments that are really that powerful. We have really cool moments in The Mandalorian. They're really cool Star Wars moments, but there's not like those powerful moments in the same way. And I think that that's what this show had more than anything. Obi-Wan to me is almost like its own thing. It's like, okay, it was fine. We liked it, but it's just kind of like out there on its own doing whatever. Yeah, I just thought that, this show was really well written, really wonderfully paced, focus on practical effects as much as they could. We talked in the one episode how they weren't using the giant kind of green screen. I forget what it's called, that has been used on several of the other shows. No Tatooine in this series, which was a big relief. But yeah, overall, I mean, what would you give the series? Season one.
Season one, I would say 8.5.
8.5?
Yeah, 8.5.
I think I would say
I think it's like,
I think I would say 9.5.
Oh wow, nice. I mean, like it has nothing to do. It's so hard to get into that 9 for something for me on a show. But I think honestly, like I would say it's probably closer to 9 than an 8.5, but we just do the point, fives. Sure. But I just can't give it a 9 because I think when there were parts that just weren't up to my expectations, that's what dragged it down. Not that 8.5 is bad by any means. I mean, you take that any day over a lot of the other stuff that we've watched. We don't really hand out things that high unless it's like, honestly, like the Weird Al movie. We both really gave high scores and stuff like that. The Batman, exactly. So I think, for a TV show, especially a TV show that was so different, has Star Wars in the title, and that's kind of it. I think I will say I will be hard pressed to find a TV show that we do on this show that I would give that high for a while, even going forward.
I cannot think of anything that we have watched this year. And we watched some good stuff. I mean, we watched We Own the City, Under the Banner of Heaven, some other things. I just don't think that I've seen anything that's quite in the same league as this. I know outcry, presumably from House of Dragons people, but this was better than House of the Dragon.
Oh yeah, it was definitely better.
And it was, and maybe that's people saying, oh, you're just a Star Wars fanboy, whatever. I really liked House of the Dragon. I really liked it. I thought it was excellent. This was better. This was, it was more well written. It was more well paced. There wasn't any weird incestuous porno episodes. I just felt as though I just like this. I just liked it a lot more. And I'm very excited. This is the effect that this has had on me. I am more excited for the second season of Andor, which is currently in production, than I am the next season of The Mandalorian, which will be starting here in the next couple months.
Oh yeah, I 100% agree. Yeah.
So there you have it. Andor.
Andor.
Check it out.
Very good.
2 thumbs way up. You know what we forgot to do?
What do we forget to do?
Forgot to announce our winner.
Oh yeah.
We got 100 subs. Wonder if I should edit this into the nah. 100 subs. $25 gift card. We held a drawing in which Greg drew names out of a basket full of rusty nails and also names. There's both of those things included.
Nails and names.
Nails and names. Immediately went to the emergency room to get a tetanus shot.
Always good to get your tetanus shot anyhow. Might as well have a reason.
Yeah. So we pulled names. Everybody who made their subscription public to us, which if you haven't made your subscription public to us, then you're a dumbass. I guess. I mean, I don't know what you're
right.
I don't really know what else to say as far as that. It's like, we have so many people that have subscribed, whatever. And anyway, I'm just rambling. Jared Lambert is our subscriber who has won the $100 or $100.
Oh jeez.
Yeah, $25 gift card. And so we will reach out to Jared and hook him up with a $25 gift card and a thank you note signed in Greg's tetanus blood.
Yes. Always. I sign everything in tetanus blood.
Speaking of tetanus blood, Chainsaw Man, episode 7. The team is left on the 8th floor, and Denji has decided he will enter the belly of the beast to save everyone and go full chainsaw, cut everything down to size. When he gets weakened, he cuts and drinks the blood of the devil, which refuels him to allow him to continue to cut, to the point where the devil is just basically submits, like, here's my heart. Just get rid of it. Please. Just kill me. I'm done. You've
so
done
funny.
it. And then excuse me. A little bit more backstory on the eye patch character known as Kimono. And they decide to get everyone together for a little barbecue / some drinks and see where everybody's kind of at on the team, see how everybody's doing. And she gets a little drunk and decides to pay off Denji for his killing of the devil and decides that she's going to give him the full tongue and a little bit extra because she pukes in his mouth.
Oh.
And then as the episode concludes, she carries him home and they're getting ready to get X-rated. So, Greg, Chainsaw Man, episode 7.
I did not enjoy this episode that much.
Oh, no.
I really liked the beginning where he does all that, but when it was them just drinking and then the puke just threw me all off.
Did you like how it was blurred out?
I did like how it was blurred out. That was really funny, but it just really grossed me out to a very high degree. I mean, the episode still did backstory. It was all that. And it was funny that they were getting hammered. That was all funny, but just the grossness. and it was a big chunk. Like it was a good like 5 minutes of that happening, and then leading to like the aftermath, and then like you said, going back. But it was just so gnarly. Yeah, it was too much. Like the rest of the episode was fine. I mean, him cutting up the thing is just standard Chainsaw Man fare, which is great. And I like it was like it may taste disgusting or whatever, but whatever, tastes delicious if I win or whatever. That was
Yeah.
funny. And when they're like talking about him being like crazy, they're like observing him doing his thing, and they're like, "Yeah, I think he's a little out there." And like, yeah, he is. It was just
Yeah.
like that was funny. So I shouldn't say like I just like the episode. I liked it fine until I just didn't like it at all with that scene. It was funny, and I liked that they blurred it out. That was hilarious. And then like in the end credits thing, it was like color. It was weird. It was like because I watched that end credits thing because it was like this is weird. And yeah,
I
so
don't think I
it was
watched
just
that.
it's very funny because I had it on my phone, so I was just kind of like doing other things, and I like turned and looked, and I was like, "Oh, this is funny." It's like neon puke, kind of like what our
Okay.
backgrounds look like. It was like
Yeah.
that, but so not puke, but still but being blurred out was hilarious.
Yeah, there was
But gross.
some plot points worth discussing in this episode, mainly that the devils are getting more aggressive and they seem to be targeting Denji.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. Oh, yeah, excuse me. And I think the reason there is because you saw what he did. He can kill another devil and refuel if they hurt him. He's just cut your arm off and drink your arm blood, and I'm good to go. And so he seems very, very, very unbeatable at this point. And I'm interested to see what they're able to throw up against him where he is going to get knocked down. That's sort of one of an anime series. I know I use the word when we talk about the show tropes a lot, but it is kind of standard fare to see a character who you kind of think is completely unstoppable to then become stopped, and he has to figure out how he's going to improve himself to be able to conquer the next challenge. And so I'm curious to see how that goes, because this is only a 12 episode season, which means we have 5 episodes left. I do appreciate the fact that there's no filler in this.
No.
And I think I mentioned this last week that the fight between Denji and that devil, if this was like Naruto or Dragon Ball Z or Full Metal Alchemist or some of these other Bleach, one of these longer running anime series, that would have taken 5 episodes, and they resolved it pretty much in about 4.5 minutes, if even that long. And so I'm very appreciative to the fact that there's just no filler in this. The overarching, like, there's enough like threads, like, okay, we're going to pull on these threads a little bit week by week to have like an interesting ongoing plot. But it seems like, whereas, for example, when we would talk about She-Hulk, it was like, okay, she's the A plot and the B plot is Pug and her assistant like getting this outfit or whatever. The B plot in Chainsaw Man is just him being super horny. Right. And like everybody being that way, kind of. So it's kind of like, it's funny. I think it does kind of make me, I'm not prudish or anything, but it does kind of make me, as an almost 40-year-old man, a little bit, I don't know if uncomfortable is the word, but it's just like, okay, like, we get it.
It's just,
right.
I think it's more of that than anything.
We get it. He's a hornball, and it's funny. And then he gets fucking puke in his mouth. What would you do if that ever happened to you?
Wow. I'm actually surprised it never has. But wow. I don't even know. I mean, I probably would just throw up. I probably would just
throw it back on the person.
Yeah, it probably like unintentionally throw back up on the person. I would just that would be. I'm not like I like throw up isn't something that when I see someone throwing up, it doesn't make me gag. The idea was him getting it back, like the throw up going in his mouth was what grossed me out. So seeing someone throw up is not like something I'm like, oh my God, I don't. But if that happened to me, I would definitely just like probably just throw right back up on the person. It would just be, I think it'd be involuntary because the taste and everything would just be so nasty.
Which do you think is worse? When you're sleeping with somebody, I don't mean sleeping with them like doing the deed, but I mean like you're just in bed, sleeping, right? Which do you think would be worse? Like the person throwing up, not necessarily even on you, just in general, throwing up or piss in the bed?
I'm going to go with B is worse.
Piss in the bed?
Yeah, I think that's worse.
Yeah. Shout out Kayla on the challenge when she was in bed with Corey Wharton and she pissed herself.
Right. Come on the show.
Didn't think that I'll tell you what, when we started Chainsaw Man, didn't think that would come up.
No, definitely not.
Surprises around every corner.
Throw up is gross, but yeah, peeing would be worse. Yeah, for sure.
I don't know, man. I think throwing up would be worse. I think I could deal with pee more than throw up. Because it depends on what the person had to eat.
Yeah, I mean,
because if it was like something like gnarly, you know what I mean? If it was like, oh God, I just threw up like an extra large burrito bowl from Chipotle. You having a hard time right now?
I just I'm just thinking about it. It's
get
making
a little
me
queasy.
just
a little bit. Like the bean chunks.
Yeah,
and like
so
maybe
nasty.
like some like curdled milk or something.
Anytime any of this happens where people are like, oh, I threw up in bed or I like pissed in bed, it's like I've been all kinds of like inebriated or whatever, and I've always made it to the restroom. I never, and I mean, I guess like maybe I haven't been that kind of inebriated where I could just be in the bed and not even realize it. That is probably a thing where it happens, but that is gross either way. I can't believe it. I am surprised we have gone this direction.
Yeah, me too. I've never peed the bed. Thrown up. You know.
I don't think I've done it. I had never done that. I was really sick one time and came very close to it because I woke up like mid. I had like a really bad flu. But
never mind. That's a story for another day. Okay. Chainsaw Man.
Moving on.
Chainsaw Man. Final thoughts.
I mean, I still like, just keep up the violence, kick out the puke.
Yeah. I threw up one time when I was like maybe 12 or 13. And I don't know why I remember this, but I'd eaten like an entire can of Planters peanuts. And so it was just an amalgamation of peanut.
Yeah.
Yeah. It didn't taste bad coming up though.
I used to sleepwalk a lot from 4 to 7 years ago. In that time period, I sleepwalk a lot, but nothing too bad. I don't think ever happened. I did walked out in the middle of the street, but it was where I lived in Goleta, California here, where it was I woke up with like, holy crap, I'm in the middle of the street. That was weird. But I don't sleepwalk anymore, I think, as far as I know.
Were you just trying to get it off of vomit? With that story? Okay.
I was just trying to think of anything weird that may have happened. I think that's maybe the weirdest for me.
Were you drinking?
No, I was I was just flat out sleepwalking.
Oh, I've done that a little bit.
Yeah.
There's always like the illusion of spiders involved when I'm sleepwalking. So I don't know what that means, but
most of the time I just wind up standing in the corner.
Masturbating.
No. None of that. But I have woke up. I have sleptwalk and then wake up and I have no idea where I'm at, even if I'm in my house. That's scary and weird.
Yeah. Yeah. Steve, he's the one that does that in the corner. Get back there, Steve.
Yeah. Get in the corner.
Get back in the corner, Steve. All right, let's move on. Guardians of the Galaxy. Holiday special. The Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special. A Marvel Studios presents a Marvel Studios special.
Yes.
So Yondu ruins Christmas for Peter Quill, and so Mantis and Drax decide they're going to save Christmas / make it up to him / whatever by giving him the best gift of all time, Kevin Bacon. So they travel to Earth where they participate in some different kind of hijinks, hang out at a bar, make a bunch of money, lose a bunch of money. They make a bunch of money by taking pictures with people who think that Drax, I believe the joke is made, yay, I got a picture with the God of War. I believe they believe he is Kratos from the game God of War. And so they make a bunch of money, and then they lose all their money drinking, and they get slumped, which you can kind of see behind you there. And then they find their way to Kevin Bacon's house, and they abduct him to nowhere, which is the severed celestial head that they purchased from the collector apparently and are remodeling. So that's fun. And they save Christmas for Peter, kind of. And Kevin Bacon performs music in different voices and so on and so forth. And then we learn that Yondu didn't actually ruin Christmas for Peter Quill at all.
Right.
So the Guardians of the Galaxy, the holiday, the special.
I was prepared to think this was like not really, I would say like not enjoy it because I don't want to say that, but I was prepared for this to not be like entertaining. And I was actually surprised that it was like at least somewhat entertaining. It was 40 minutes or so. It wasn't that long, which was helpful.
Yep.
I do like that it was Mantis and Drax just kind of being the stars of it because they play off of each other very well.
Right.
Because he's so dumb and then she's actually smart and like the back and forth, but then they still like to hang out with each other. And then the Kevin Bacon thing was just really, really funny. And so, and at the end of the day, it was like, they did this for Peter and he was touched by it, but it was still like, you don't steal Kevin Bacon to do this. And then Kevin Bacon makes new friends.
Right.
And so I'm actually surprised to say this. Like, I enjoyed watching this when it was over. Like, I was watching it like 15-minute bits. I was like watching it and then doing something and then watching it and doing something. But I wasn't discouraged by it. And then there was still actual plot development where we find out that Peter and Mantis are related. And so that was interesting in the fact that they, bought Nowhere too. It was like, oh, this is like they have a home base now. Like, so there was a thing, and I think they filmed this while they were also filming the third movie, like doing it right at the same time. So I like that this wasn't a nothing special either. It was like, oh, here's some minor plot development, I guess you could say. Not like major, not like holy cow, but still fun enough. And, we also, see Groot grown up.
Yeah.
Which is like shocking. I mean,
grown up Groot, it was like weird because it was like full body grown up Groot, but it still had baby Groot's face.
Right.
And that was like,
because he's only half grown.
It was really unsettling to me.
Yeah.
I didn't like that.
Shouts to Bradley Cooper and Vin Diesel too for their 2 minutes of nothing.
Being involved with this.
And getting a good paycheck. But no, I walked away where I was like surprised. I was not like upset about it. I was thinking it would be bad because a lot of times these are bad, these kind of things. And no, I was like, there's nothing laugh out loud funny, but I like the bar scene where they were just getting hammered. That was funny. I did like how they made money and then they lost money. And I like how Mantis used her little power to control people's, minds, including Kevin Bacon. So, no, I thought at the end of the day, like it was exactly what it should have been. Nothing more, nothing less.
Yeah, I think that a couple things worth pointing out. We did the trailer reaction. We saw that the main story was going to be that they abduct Kevin Bacon, and we agreed that, okay, this looks like it's probably going to be pretty much senseless humor, which is fine. That's kind of what, like you said, what you want in something like this, where it's centered around a theme that's not really too serious or too involved when it comes to pushing the canon of the MCU forward. But I thought that it delivered on that sort of zaniness promise that the trailer showed. And I think that it was just funny enough to hold your attention. And I thought that there were some genuinely, like you said, not necessarily like laugh out loud, but there's definitely funny moments. I thought that Mantis Clem, or what's her name?
Palm Clementif.
Yeah. Kind of, I mean, she was the scene stealer in this. Like this was her show. And I kind of appreciated too that we did get more of just her and Drax, because so much of the story in the other Guardians movies, and then even their appearance in Infinity War, is based around Peter, Gamora, and Rocket. So to kind of see those two get to take center stage a little bit more was exciting. And it's probably worth noting too that you and I aren't big Guardians fans. I mean, I'm a big Cleveland Guardians fan, but not Guardians of the Galaxy fans. And so to come away from this with any enjoyment at all was a bonus. And I thought that I don't know that it exceeded expectations per se, but I think it met expectations.
Like, I guess it exceeded my expectations just because, like, I wasn't prepared to like it. I thought it was going to be like, I thought the Kevin Bacon thing would be fine or whatever, but I almost thought it was going to be like too corny the more I thought about it. And when I actually fired it up, when you mentioned to me it was on, and actually, like, you mentioned it right as I saw that it was on too, and I was like, "Ooh, we'll see." But like I said, they knew exactly what to do with this too, keeping it at 40 minutes or whatever, not making it an hour. I think that was like a really big decision to not add 20 minutes of like nothing fluff to it. It just happened, and then and then also to be within the storyline made sense, and that was good.
I think that Kevin Bacon works. Obviously, we know that Peter Quill thinks that like Footloose is the greatest movie of all time and everything, but I think Kevin Bacon works with this because he's kind of a corny guy, just like in general. And so that kind of fit the motif. Like, I like Kevin Bacon, but he is sort of this like 6 degrees of 6 degrees of separation, Kevin Bacon. And he's just kind of like kind of this sort of washed up, not really, but kind of washed up actor. And I just thought it worked. It worked for me. I liked it. I don't know if this is something that I would like add to my regular rotation of holiday classics each year, but it was good for the moment. And it worked. So, and it kind of gave us a nice little sort of prologue to Guardians Volume 3, I would say. I think that's the other kind of nice.
I would agree with that. 100% agree.
So what would you give this?
I would give this like a 6.5.
Yeah, I would say 7.
Yeah, I just feel like because I was expecting, like I said, I thought it was gonna I honestly thought it would be like an hour before I actually saw like the actual timeline. I was like, "Oh, an hour." I know it sounds funny, but like adding 20 more minutes to this would have made it bad. There's just because there wasn't anything extraneous about this. Every part worked. It was bing bang boom, and we were out the door. That was fine.
I think that we've had this discussion before that I know specifically with the Marvel shows and the Star Wars shows, and really with the Marvel shows, Disney has gotten a lot wrong. But the one thing that I really feel like they have gotten very right is that they are not beholden to any time slot. It's all, you know what I mean? An episode will be as long or short as it has to be, or like this being a special, as long as short or as it has to be. And I think that, like you said, if they would have tried to cram another 20 minutes of whatever into this, I think that makes it not unwatchable, but certainly less enjoyable.
They knew exactly what they were doing.
Yeah, I agree. Media recommendations.
Still reading the Kelly Ripa book. I just haven't. I was actually way busier over the holiday than anticipated. Had like the car thing. Just prepping for Thanksgiving, doing the dinner, and all the football I watched. So still reading that. White Lotus. That's a great show. I don't know if I've actually mentioned we've been watching this. Also on HBO Max, they have like Chopped, the Food Network show.
Mhm.
They have the Thanksgiving and the holiday editions, and we've actually been like binging those. That's been actually a lot of fun. And makes you kind of gives you like ideas. So I would say we've been going through that and started halfway through the Lindsay Lohan Christmas movie on Netflix. So far, so good. I mean, I do like the cornball movies, and Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Still is a great movie. Still hits every year for the last 30 plus years of my life. So I would say that, and just the holiday season in general can actually begin now. I'm adamant about not starting Christmas
Till
until
after
till
Thanksgiving.
after. I mean, the tree is behind me. You can't see it because of our background, but tree is behind me. Got the ornaments. They're all food glass ornaments plus a couple Michigan ones, but good. It's good to have the tree up.
Food glass ornaments?
Food. Yeah. Like donuts, bagels, pizza, things like that. They're great looking. Janie got them, but yeah. What about you, Brendan?
God of War, Ragnarok.
God of War.
That's end of list.
Good.
I mean, the challenge, I guess, like, the challenge, Survivor, Amazing Race, basketball when I can, but God of War. I'm gonna go play God of War right now.
Nice.
I'm all over it, like a hobo on a ham sandwich.
Hell yeah.
But anyway,
I haven't had a ham sandwich in a long time.
Yeah, it's one of the saltier of the cured meats.
Salty. You do ham and a good dollop of mustard, stadium mustard if you have it. It's pretty solid.
That's not bad. What kind of cheese?
I'm doing a ham sandwich. I don't want a cheese too aggressive because you don't want too much salt. I'd say a Gouda is actually pretty good. A Gouda, mild swell if you want to make it a grilled sandwich, a smash sandwich, a griddled sandwich. What about you?
That's not Gouda. That pick's not Gouda. Nice.
Like Gouda?
I'm a big Colby Jack guy.
Colby Jack's good.
Yeah, I like a Colby Jack on a ham sandwich or a turkey sandwich. Although with turkey, I favor Swiss can overpower the flavor of it. Turkey, I'm more likely to go with like a nice provolone.
Good too. I like a prove.
Gabagool. Thanks for watching. Social medias, BXG Prods on Instagram, Twitter. Check out the Substack. I guess you didn't let me know about that. I would have happily posted.
I was just doing a little lean in, like very slow, like a soft opening on it.
Yeah. Well, you still want people to know about it. But anyway,
it's on my Instagram right now. Check out my stories. I have it up. It's with Mike Sanderstro making the defensive play of the season against Ohio State. That's all you need to know. Ohio with State.
There's an actual Ohio. You can't.
Ohio University.
Yeah, the Bobcats.
Yeah, the Bobcats.
Right.
Good journalism school, but broadcast.
So.
But yeah, so anyhow, check it out there. It's at BXG Productions.
Yeah.
Substack. Just look up BXG Substack. You'll find it that way too. If you don't want to go through my Instagram. Right now, it's just the art of it's about winning and how fun it is if your teams aren't really good. Which both of us can relate.
I know something about that. Yeah. YouTube trailer reactions, gaming content, reviews. Check out our Blockbuster review. Yep. I thought it was really good. I mean, the show wasn't, but I thought our review was really good. I mean,
probably maybe one of our top 5 reviews.
I'm biased,
I think,
because it's me. But
we do the show.
I don't know what to do with my hands.
I never know what to do with my hands.
All right, I'm getting the hell out of here.
All right.
Take care. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We'll be back on schedule this week with a new episode on Friday.
On schedule.
Bye-bye.